As many of you know, it's unfortunate. It's very hurtful, but Cleveland doesn't like me. I have been more right on the Cleveland Browns than any team in the last 3 years, Joy, as my witness. I told you John Dorsey would not work as a GM. Right. I told you Freddie Kitchens' disaster. Right. I told you Kevin Stefanski finally was a grown-up. It would work. And I told you Baker Mayfield's talented, but he's not number one pick talented. And the Browns, the numbers tell you, are better when he throws less. This is interesting. Jadeveon Clowney is close to signing with Cleveland. Now, Jadeveon Clowney is one of those guys that he's never quite lived up to the hype, but now he's undervalued. Okay, he can play. He's a good player. Now, he's not worth big money. He's not as good as his hype, but the idea that Jadeveon Clowney isn't good is ridiculous. Last time he was playing for Seattle, there was a playoff game. He made plays all over the field. Jadeveon Clowney's a good football player. He got so hyped out of college that we expect him to be Mike Tyson and knock everybody out. And that's just not what he is. He's inconsistent, but he's a really good football player. And my takeaway, if Clowney signs with Cleveland, they are now the third most talented team in the NFL. Tampa 1, best roster, Kansas City 2, and Cleveland 3. Well, Tampa just won a Super Bowl, and Kansas City won it 2 years ago. No more excuses for Baker Mayfield. Competent head coach, competent GM, best offensive line, great weapons, and they have done a great job to solve the back end of their defense this offseason. They really have. John Johnson, tremendous safety. So this morning, if Clowney signs with Cleveland, there are 4 overwhelming favorites in the AFC. Kansas City, Buffalo, Indy, and Cleveland. Baltimore's close, but not in that group. It is go time. It is go time for Baker Mayfield. This is a stacked roster if they get Clowney. You'd have Clowney, you got Myles Garrett, Olivier Vernon, just as pass rushers. Folks, this is a big deal. Don't buy into this Clowney's overrated. Clowney can play. Not worth big money, and Cleveland's not going to give him big money, but Clowney can play. Clowney's a playmaker. And when you have a team as good as Cleveland that got to the playoffs last year, you're looking for playmakers. You're not going to get Trent Williams left tackle on the market. You're not going to get that. But guys that can make plays in big spots, absolutely. I'd take Jadeveon Clowney tomorrow for that. I just don't want to build my franchise around him. So, and Colin, I see stories this morning. Would Cleveland be the favorites in the AFC North? Of course they would. I called it a week ago. Of course they would. Cleveland is and should be favored to win the AFC North if they land Clowney. I'm not saying, listen, I said this last week before they had Clowney, but this is a real pickup. He's a real football player. Don't listen to anybody. Dude can play and make plays. The Bears don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. Totally tone deaf. They went out and put Andy Dalton, quarterback 1, on their Twitter account. Now, this is ridiculous for a lot of reasons. We know they pursued Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. We know they pursued other quarterbacks. We know Andy Dalton was not their first choice. Everybody knows that. Chicago knows that. Fans know that. So to trump this on social media is, again, tone deaf. And this is an organization that kept telling us how much they loved Mitch Trubisky and then bailed on him the minute they could. Is that sometimes players need to escape places. Matt Stafford escaped the Lions. I mean, he went to them and said, it's just over. I'm done. And the Lions, to their credit, were willing to send him to an NFC power, the Rams. Carson Wentz, to me, the stories came out, he escaped Philadelphia. It was just toxic. Owner, GM, coach, it was toxic. Matt Nagy needs to escape Chicago because I think he can coach. I really do. And do an Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption and get in a tunnel and just leave the grounds. In fact, you've heard of Escape from Alcatraz. Matt Nagy, Escape from Chicago. That's the actual movie poster. He is, right now, he's trapped. I feel bad for him. I think you have a really good coach. And this has happened before, by the way, in the NFL, where you have a good coach and he's got a bad owner. They got a bad general manager. I don't think Chicago knows what they're doing. And what they're really bad at, they're really bad at the optics. So this is a team that spent a lot of money on Mike Glennon, invited him to a draft party, and at the party moved up for Mitch Trubisky. At the draft party. Okay. I mean, this is an organization that did not refute any of the Russell Wilson trade rumors. When you're trading for Russell Wilson and you're Chicago and the rumors come out, you just deny. You just get out of that because the chances of landing him were about 5%. And so you have to be able to, they call it seeing around corners. You have to be able to see trouble before it happens, right? There's an instinct to it. The great GMs and coaches, smart people have it. Can you see around corners? You knew the chances of getting Russell Wilson were slim and none. And I applaud them for going for it. But once you didn't get him, whoever you got would be a huge settle, whether it was Jameis or Andy Dalton. So what you do in the Russell Wilson stuff is you downplay it constantly. These are rumors. Some of this stuff is just nonsense. You don't light it up because you're not going to get him. A part of the reality of running a company is everybody can see the obvious crap. Can you see around corners? Can you see, like, if we do this, that's going to happen? Once you just kind of went all in and embraced the Russell Wilson stuff, you were just begging for your fan base to be let down with the end result. Andy Dalton, quarterback one. What are we doing as a franchise? What are you doing? Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.